Thingkho Le Malcha, by KSO Media and Documentation Cell, issue number 45, Thursday, 26 October, 2023. Headlines: Big Expose, Funds Meant for Tribal Development Swindled. Kuki Tnle District Administration Police Becoming Troublemakers. Manipur Police foils Youth of Manipurs meeting. KTCF urges Phm Rohan Singh to immediately stop spreading misinformation. NPUI condemns loot, ransom demand, government offices closed due to rampant extortion. Congress: Is BJP a supporter of co-conspirators of present violence in Manipur? We all stand together behind Kuki's people in Manipur, says ZPM leader Lal Dahoma. The Modi government stays silent on real threats while exaggerating imaginary ones. Misappropriating motherhood and feminism, Mira pains as the fuel of violence. N. Biren Singh, the most incompetent chief minister in the history of Manipur. Fact check. Thingkho Le Malcha. Relief Center update. Blue Star Academy Relief Center, Lai Lam Vang, Lamka. Managed by Young Paite Association, Central Lamka. Total inmates registered, 64. Male, 31. Female, 33. Kuki victims update as on October 16, 2023. Deaths, 146. Villages burnt, 200 plus. Houses burnt, 7,000 plus. Churches and synagogues burnt, 360. Displaced persons, 41,425. Big Expose, Funds Meant for Tribal Development Swindled. The chief architect of violence in Manipur, Chief Minister N. Biren Singh, in his attempt to swindle development funds meant for tribals, has written to the Union Tribal Affairs Minister Arjun Munda for sanctioning of various projects under the Tribal Affairs Ministry on October 23. In his letter to the Union Minister, Chief Minister N. Biren Singh stated that there are tribal inhabitants in all the 16 districts of Manipur constituting a major part of the population in the state. Empowerment of tribal communities in Manipur, therefore, has a significant impact on accelerating the overall socio-economic development trajectory of Manipur. Toward this objective, the Chief Minister stated that the Manipur Khadi and Village Industries Board, a statutory body established under the Manipur Khadi and Village Industries Board Act, 1966, prepared a detailed project report for integrated empowerment of scheduled tribe communities in Manipur for submission of the same through the State Department of Tribal Affairs. However, the name of 6 NGOs recommended by the Vice Chairman of KVIB, Wahangbam Dinesh Chandra, on May 12, 2023, are all from the Valley Meitei community, a non-tribal. The NGOs are Ihil Foundation, Konthajamawang Laikai, Impul West, Manipur, Empowering of Culture and Rural Development, Pishamthong Ningam Lirak, Impul West, Manipur, Rural Community Development Center, Purabi, Impul East, Manipur, Sustainable Center for Development and Culture, Kanjeng Laikai, Impul West, Manipur, Naharal Development Foundation, Thangmaiband Maisnam Laikai, Impul West, Manipur and Center for Research on Culture and Rural Empowerment. Among the 6 projects, 4 of them are for mobile dispensary while the rest are livelihood project. The Chief Minister in his concluding part said he will be very grateful if the ministry could favorably consider the proposal for promotion of sustainable employment and creating self-reliance amongst tribal communities in Manipur. The irony is, though the Chief Minister, in his letter, stated that the recommended projects are meant for development of the tribal populace, none of the recommended projects belong to the tribal community. All the 6 NGOs are exclusively owned by the non-tribals and the tribal development scheme is supposed to have been benefited by general community, the Meiteis. Kuki Tnle District Administration Police Becoming Troublemakers. The Kuki Tnle KIT, on Thursday alleged that the district administration and the police, instead of solving the grievances of the general public, have become the troublemakers by imposing unnecessary curfews, releasing fake propagandas through media and harassing the tribal inhabitants of the district on daily basis. In a statement issued on Thursday, KIT asserted that Moore Town and Tnle District as a whole is already peaceful. But, the DC and SP have been trying their level best to show the situation as otherwise so that they could bring in more state forces to commit genocide on the Kukizo community. Their aim is to let the Meitei militants burn the houses of Kukis, their churches and destroy the villages, with the help of state forces like the Meitei Police Commandos, Meitei IRB and other Meitei officials, it alleged, while many unlawful incidents involving the state police commandos in Moore Town had already been highlighted by the Kuki CSOs and Moore. It also came to light that on the night of October 24, 2023, the police commandos were caught trying to meet Meitei terrorists based in TAMU areas of Myanmar, which is a huge threat to our national security. KIT said that IT also mentioned that on September 8, 2023, the police CDOs along with the Meitei terrorist groups, masquerading as police CDO, had attacked Kukizo villages of Molnoy area, Tnle District. In that incident, the Tnle District SP was seen escorting and helping those terrorists who had attacked the Kuki villagers. Amidst all such crimes, the district administration issued an order to cease all vehicles plying without registration number plates and also shortened the curfew relaxation hours in Moore Town, it stated. The KIT asked Tnle DC whether he would enable obtaining registration number for all the vehicles in Tnle District from DTO Impul and other valley areas. Instead, the Deputy Commissioner should make first the DTO office functional at Tnle headquarters. It added, since the Tnle DC and SP are acting as interested abettors in several unwanted incidents, the people of Tnle have completely lost their trust on the present district administration, KIT said. The Kuki apex body warned that the DC and SP of Tnle will be held responsible if any unwanted incident occurs on the peaceful women protesters of the district due to the action of the district administration in any form. KIT also appealed to the Home Minister, Government of India, for his intervention regarding the people's grievances. Manipur Police foils Youth of Manipurs meeting. In what could be called a strict lawful overview on public meetings, state forces on Wednesday stopped Youth of Manipur, YOM, from convening a press meet and group meeting at an undisclosed location in Singhs. However, YOM volunteers cooperated with the said mandate and hence, there were no reports of untoward incidents nor verbal spat during the entirety of the whole encounter. Speaking to the media at another location, a YOM volunteer stated that the whole debacle was unfortunate and a clear sign that the system was trying to muffle critical public opinion on state issues. She highlighted that the press event was called to shed light on the heinous nature of mob culture and condemned the brutal mob lynching and murder of one Sahir alias Sana at Thingkho on October 19. Mob justice is not an acceptable act and everyone should condemn such evil culture. It can deteriorate the social morality and principles of all communities in Manipur, she said. She stated that dialogue is the ultimate measure in such tense situations to ascertain and clear out all confusions. Such mindless act can trigger vested people to pit communities against one another, she added. She asked if authorities were waiting for protests and agitations before they took any lawful measures regarding the case. The authorities should be on their toes in hunting down the culprits and punishing them, but unfortunately, that is not the case, she said. KTCF urges Phm Rohan Singh to immediately stop spreading misinformation. Vehemently reacting over repeated alleged misleading information over the existence of Emmanuel Maite Fellowship Church, the Kangpokpi Town Church's Fellowship, or KTCF urged Phm Rohan Singh and Abungo to stop once and for all spreading the unfounded and misleading information. KTCF, the apex body of churches in Kangpokpi Town, and the Kangpokpi Town Committee had on September 26 audibly and collectively clarified that no such church in the name of Emmanuel Maite Fellowship Church ever existed in Kangpokpi Town, but Phm Rohan and Abungo repeatedly insisted that Emmanuel Maite Fellowship Church where Abungo is the pastor had been vandalized and turned into a kitchen. Abungo, whom the locals popularly known as a fish seller at IT Road Bazaar near LNC Hotel also claimed himself to be a pastor of Emmanuel Maite Fellowship Church at Shandivang, Ward No. 17 in Kangpokpi Town said that the church is located at the campus of Tnle District residence. To make things clear once and for all, the KTCF members along with the Kangpokpi Youth Union went for a spot examination of the site and inquired if such a church ever existed without the knowledge of the KTCF and the local bodies. Speaking to the media, the secretary of Kangpokpi Town Church Fellowship, Reverend Father Jangkagan Shangloy said that as members of KTCF and KYU went for a spot examination, we found no such church as claimed by Abungo and Phm Rohan at the campus of Tnle District residence at Shandivang, and nobody in the vicinity also knew about it. He said that the only structure we found is the residence of Tnle District and an extension of a room where he, District, used to teach and take tuition to children of the locality, while clarifying that there is no such church structure inside the campus as claimed by Phm Rohan and Abungo. He also said that there is no such church recorded in the record book of Kangpokpi Town Church Fellowship since 1997. The KTCF secretary said that such a made-up and fake story on the part of the followers of Jesus Christ is not only unethical but spiritually wrong for the children of God. Therefore, if Phm Rohan and Abungo are true Christians, they must abstain from such wrongdoing and making unfounded allegations with misleading information, he added. He also said that the duo, Phm Rohan and Abungo, must also know that such misleading information and false allegations will not only disturb their spiritual life, but it could become a triggering factor for more misunderstanding in the already volatile situation among the two communities. The KTCF also appealed to the general public to not be misled by the false and unfounded allegation. It also fervently appealed to both Phm Rohan and Abungo to stop spreading such unfounded and misleading information to the masses in future. NPUI condemns loot, ransom demand, government offices closed due to rampant extortion. The tall claim of improvement in law and order in Impul Valley by N. Biren Singh is nothing but an eyewash. Rampant extortions and monetary demands by terror groups are on the rise. On Wednesday, the Naga People's Union Impul, NPUI, has strongly condemned monetary demand served to the Office of Vertigrowth Private Limited located at Pomai Colony, Kairang Road on October 23 by unknown armed persons. In a statement, NPUI informed that about 10 fully armed miscreants, in full black dresses, barged into the office around 11:30 p.m. and started snatching personal phones and wallets while leveling false allegations against the office. Moreover, the armed miscreants, who were in inebriated condition, assaulted the staffers at gunpoint and took away one each Maruti Suzuki Brezza and Maruti Suzuki Swift, 21 personal phones, 1 laptop and 1 wallet along with DL/RC, Aadhaar card and 5,000 rupees in cash. On the following day, a phone call was made to the caretaker of the office building at around 10:30 a.m. demanding payment of 15 rupees lakh on the same day at 3 p.m., according to the statement. In light of the incident, NPUI strongly condemned the cowardly act and warned against such acts purportedly intended to disrupt the fragile state of peace and harmony among the different communities in Manipur. It further appealed to authority concerned and leaders of communities concerned to bring out the culprits and book them as per law of the land at the earliest. The union also placed on record that for any untoward incidents that may arise out of the issue, the perpetrators would be solely held responsible. In another news, some of the government offices under Bishnupur district such as SDC and SDO offices at Kumbi, SDC office and sub-registrar office at Moarung have been reportedly closed after receiving monetary demands from the valley-based terrorists outfits. As per report, the offices were forced to shut since the staffs did not turn up in the office out of fear caused by the monetary demand. The armed groups called the staffs of the offices through their mobile numbers and threatened the staffs to give the monetary demands. Congress, is BJP a supporter of co-conspirators of present violence in Manipur? Reacting strongly to the recent remarks of BJP President Sharda Devi, the working president of Manipur Pradesh Congress Committee, KH Devarbrata, has questioned whether the BJP is a supporter of co-conspirators of present violence in Manipur. While briefing the media at Congress Bhavan, Imphal, on Thursday, Devarbrata said that the BJP President Sharda lied by saying that no BJP MLA demanded separate administration. He said the 10 Kukizo MLAs including those from BJP are among those demanding separate administration, referring to the Kukizo MLAs as one of the co-conspirators among the Indigenous Tribal Leaders Forum, Sioux groups and Mizoram Chief Minister Jerome Thunga, who are trying to break the territorial integrity of Manipur. Devarbrata questioned why the BJP could not terminate the Kukizo BJP MLAs from the party. The BJP can put the blame on the Congress party for the cause of different problems in the state. However, they will not be able to escape without accepting the responsibility for causing the present conflict in the state. He added, the MPCC president said the present crisis is one of the ugliest incident in the history of Manipur and it has caused extreme hardships to the people. In the upcoming elections, the MPCC has a firm belief that the misgovernance of the BJP government in the ongoing crisis in the state would be visible and reflected in the people's verdict. We all stand together behind Kukizo people in Manipur, says ZPM leader Lal Dahoma. Blood is thicker than water. They, Zo people in Manipur, are our own brothers and sisters, we all stand together behind them, said Lal Dahoma, leader of the Zoram People's Movement, ZPM, who is also their chief ministerial candidate. In conversation with Wazbur Hussain, editor-in-chief of the Northeast Live 2 days ago, regarding the ensuing assembly election campaign in Mizoram, the ZPM leader had said that the people of Mizoram had given assistance to their brethren of Manipur either in cash or in kind and all political parties in Mizoram, the non-governmental organizations, NGOs, and even the churches had extended assistance to them. Expressing his deep concern over the crisis in Manipur, Lal Dahoma has fixed the responsibility to the BJP governments at the center and state. We all are committed in this issue, but at the same time we are very unhappy the way N. Biren Singh handles this crisis. The long silence of the Prime Minister, Narendra Modi, is thundering around the nook and corner of the country. The whole episode is total madness, he said. The BJP is ruling in Manipur and in Delhi. Both of them are responsible for this crisis in Manipur. It is going to have adverse effect on the chances of BJP and MNF in Mizoram, because you cannot separate MNF from BJP. They are part and parcel of NDA, added Lal Dahoma. On the issue of Zo reunification, the ZPM leader said that every political party in Mizoram is committed for reunification of Mizos. It is not the private property of MNF alone. We all are committed. We have a strong NGO known as Zo Reunification Organization, and they are working for this, he said. Lal Dahoma, however, said that Zo reunification issue is not party politics but a separate issue, which the people had to have a common platform, idea and a common front. He said due to the British policy of divide and rule, the Mizos are now divided into 3 countries: India, Myanmar and Bangladesh. Even in India, we are scattered in our neighboring states. So, every political party is committed for reunification, said Lal Dahoma. The ZPM leader also said that the UN Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People had given a wide scope for reunification, though it has not been implemented so far. India itself is a signatory of this declaration. So, we are going to push this matter so that it can go faster, Lal Dahoma said, adding that he is ready and open to work with all the people along with NGOs and political parties so long as it is in favor of reunification. Lal Dahoma further said that the Constitution of India in Article 3 provides scope for reunification, citing that many states' boundaries had been changed under Article 3 of Indian Constitution. It is possible within our own constitution to have Greater Mizoram. For that matter, I would like to use reunification of Zo people. It is quite possible, he added. Notably, Mizoram has seen only two chief ministers, Lal Thanhala from the Congress and Joram Thanga from the Mizo National Front, since 1993, with power constantly swinging between the two parties since the first assembly elections in 1987. This time, though, the state has a new CM face in Lal Dahoma of the Zoram People's Movement, ZPM. Lal Dahoma has had a long and diverse public life. He pursued BA from Northeast Hill University, after which he joined the Indian Police Service. While in service, he went on to become the security in charge for then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi. He resigned from the service in 1984 and joined politics with the Indian National Congress, being elected as Lok Sabha MP later that year. He ended up becoming the first MP to be disqualified under the anti-defection law in 1988 after he resigned from the Congress. Before the formation of ZPM, he was elected MLA from his own party, Zoram Nationalist Party, in 2003. They have 8 MLAs in the outgoing assembly. After the formation of the party in 2018, his party has won the local elections. The Modi government stays silent on real threats while exaggerating imaginary ones. The Narendra Modi-led government is obsessed with the notion and perception of national security. It is the small aperture through which it views most issues, and unleashes the might of the Indian state, often domestically, making laws such as the Unlawful Activities Prevention Act harsher. It has malevolently applied existing laws against lawyers, activists, NGOs, corporates, journalists, political opponents, scholars and university students, all in the name of ensuring national security. This, even as those towing the government line shout of national security the loudest, to avoid any critical scrutiny or reasoned pushback against the arrest and intimidation of journalists. Let us not mistakenly presume that those screaming truly care for India's national security. Because if they did, they would be raising questions about the 41-month-old Ladakh border crisis with China or the 5-month-old majoritarian project of ethnic cleansing in Manipur. The other glaring security failure is Manipur, a sensitive border state beset by majoritarian ethnic violence that has divided the state, eroded the credibility of the Indian state and pitched the ruling Bharatiya Janata Party against the Indian Army and other central forces. It is only with Modi's support that the dysfunctional state government, double engine in his campaigning parlance, continues to remain in office after 5 months of bloodshed. While campaigning there during assembly polls in 2022, Modi claimed that those who could not ensure peace have no authority to be in power. Perhaps we can blame it on the failing memory of an old man, who will be eligible to be tossed into the old age home called BJP's Margdarshak Mandal in 2025. Modi has not visited the state or chaired a meeting about the state, which has also been abandoned by Doval, the Home Minister Amit Shah and the Army Chief General Manoj Pandey. As per official data, which is over a month old, 254 churches have already been destroyed in the state and 5,669 lethal weapons taken away from state armories. No place in independent India has seen police targeting central forces, filing first information reports against the army or locals firing mortars into villages. A full-fledged humanitarian crisis blights the state as victims seek refuge in strife-torn Myanmar, but no calls for holding the Prime Minister or the Union government accountable can be seen in unsigned edits of India's mainstream newspapers, even those whose mastheads boast of practicing journalism of courage. India's television stations have enough resources to send a plethora of journalists to Israel but find themselves short of money needed to rigorously cover Manipur. Excerpts from Caravan magazine. Misappropriating motherhood and feminism, Mira pains as the fuel of violence. Visuals emerged, of women scrutinizing passers-by and inspecting vehicles on the highway. These brave women, unsolicited yet determined, went as far as interrogating and verifying IDs of security forces as they hurried toward the firing zone to mitigate the violence. And, in the name of peace, these mothers offered innocent lives, including a bullet-ridden child, to their fiery god of fire, a symbol of resistance in their fight for cultural exclusivism. In their relentless pursuit to allow leeway for their sons to plunder, the burning of Kuki villages has become a source of aesthetic value and they elicit pleasure as they count the number of houses burnt and bodies dismembered. These hideous acts constitute the work of the Mira Pybus, once acclaimed as the peacekeeper and advocate of social justice. Their misdeeds and complicity with their gun-bearing sons for the past 5 months have problematized the whole notion of feminism and essence of motherhood built around them. Several media report and eyewitness accounts stand testimony to their involvement in fueling and sustaining the conflict. Now, one is left to question, what gives impunity to these mothers to carry out their act of vigilantism? What forms and sources of moral conviction inspired their collective decision as they exhorted their sons to kill and exploit bodies of their fellow women? Several factors can be attributed to the transgressive femininity that gradually acquired a detestable form of violence and killings. A deeper insight into the activities of these women groups from different Meitei laikais reveals the long-standing impunity to protect and preserve their culture through intrusive lateral surveillance. While being applauded by their culturally orthodox and chauvinistic males, oftentimes their act of vigilantism against liquor shops and couples consensually celebrating their newfound romance borders on the absurdity. But for a long time these vigilantisms remained a part of the lateral surveillance allowed by the state. Along with several civil society organizations including the International Meitei Forum and the Kangleipak Kambalup, the Mira have enjoyed the right of policing and enforcing the traditional Meitei values on the minority population. Under the leadership of N. Biren Singh and his anti-Kuki rhetoric, these stakeholders of violence have found new inspiration to forcefully pursue an exclusivist demography that alienates, illegalize and exclude the seemingly smaller community. Thus moral policing of the Mira inevitably adopted a communal undertone as devised by those in power, including the incumbent chief minister and his clandestine cohorts. Nurtured with hate against the other, these mothers have turned horrific sight of violence into a performance where their cohorts consisting of a mob of young men and women applauded their adamant act of resistance to duty-bound paramilitary forces. The Indian Army's Spear Corps has also accused these women activists of deliberately blocking routes and interfering in the duty of its soldiers to contain the violence. From Palin to Common these warmongering mothers adamantly protected their sons by acting as a human shield and making sure that no forces interfere in the latter's violent intrusion into Kuki villages. The incident on June 4, in which a mob set on fire the ambulance ferrying a bullet-ridden 7-year-old boy and 2 women, is another instance that proves their omnipresence in all events of violence. And clearly a sense of humanity was lost when they outrightly upheld every sexual attacks on Kuki women as a justifiable act in a situation of war. The omnipresence of Mira is a sign of a misgoverned state in which a section of the society wrongfully claimed the mantle of surveillance. Acquiescing with the false narratives inspired by their cultural icon including the titular King Lishemba Sanajaba, the hate against the Kuki community has been nurtured for a long time before May. Militarization fundamentally structures relationship and society. In a borderland state like Manipur, the civil-military relationship has been designed to enforce a form of lateral surveillance as the state with all its techniques and policies is unable to maintain proper cross-border movement. The protection of the international boundary is an important project of India's security policy. The Department of Border Management under the Ministry of Home Affairs, MHA, has been relentlessly working to enhance the securitization of the border areas. Prior to this development, different measures have been taken up by the state to assert its control and keep a check on the cross-border movement. These include the establishment of the Northeastern Council and the Armed Forces Special Powers Act. Despite these policies of militarization of the borderland, cross-border remains an issue in every border states. India has recognized that the ethno-political aspirations of its transborder communities extend across the international boundary. The free movement regime is an example of the nation's acknowledgement of the complexities of the borderland areas. However, in all the debates and discourses surrounding the violence in Manipur, the threat of illegality and cross-border movement has found resonance among Meitei intellectuals and activists. This reflects the insecurity of the Meitei population as they express distrust over the peripheral community for harboring illegal settlers from Myanmar. In the midst of these debates and the development of narratives around the figure of an illegal Kuki migrant, the larger issue of Meitei insurgent groups, operating from Myanmar territory, terrorizing innocent villagers and launching frequent attacks on the Indian security forces remains neglected. With their cultural significance and authority, the Mira could have sensitized their insurgent sons with better aspirations beyond violence. However, the sense of othering and hatred against the Kuki propagated by the chief minister and the Maharaja has created a false consciousness across all sections of the Meitei society. This has resulted in a widespread skepticism and fear, and the need to surveil bodies and communities. The state could have devised a policy of inclusivism based on cultural competency that recognizes the fallacy of a historical understanding of land, community, and identity. N. Biren Singh, the most incompetent chief minister in the history of Manipur. The duplicity and crookedness of N. Biren Singh leadership has come to the fore whilst handling the surrendered militant outfit with the arrest of 2 cadres of the so-called Chin Kuki Liberation Army, along with multiple weapons, ammunition, drugs and cash. Ironically, the said militant group belongs to one of the surrendered outfits to the government of Manipur. A few months back, Biren has shown his stupidity and absurdity to the world by alleging that the arrested cadres were involved in a transnational plot aimed at destabilizing both Manipur and the nation. Fact of the matter is that the so-called CKLA outfit was not known or little known to the majority of the Kuki-Zo populace until the incompetent chief minister, N. Biren Singh, staged a homecoming ceremony for them on April 22, 2023, barely 2 weeks before the ethnic cleansing pogrom began on May 3, 2023. Altogether 37 cadres, including the leader of the Chin Kuki Liberation Army/Organization, CKLA, laid down their arms and ammunition in the homecoming ceremony held at the First Manipur Rifle Banquet Hall before Chief Minister N. Biren Singh, in the presence of his Council of Ministers, DGP, Manipur Police and other high-rank officers. However, Rumor has it that this is the same group created by Manipur CM N Biren Singh for a stage-managed surrender ceremony a few months back. A big question thus arises: how can the cadres belonging to this surrendered group, CKLA, be still involved in illicit drugs trade and arms smuggling through transnational border? With this sort of duplicity running rampant, it is increasingly becoming clear that N. Biren Singh government is solely responsible for all the mess in the state, be it the present mayhem, arms smuggling or drug syndicate, etc. across international boundaries. It is an open secret that a lesser-known group of militants, who are not under the purview of suspension of operation with the governments, are often utilized by the politicians in the highest hierarchy or MLAs closely linked to the top leadership for gaining political mileage or side income out of illegal arms or drug trade. Such intralinkage between armed miscreants and politicians gives rise to prospering illicit drug syndicate to a whopping amount of 70,000 Indian rupees crores in Manipur, more than double the state's annual budgetary allocation. Mention may be made that other than the insurgent groups from KNOUPF, who are under sue, the Kuki people do not give any space to any other armed militant groups who could hinder political, social and economic progression under the revised scheme for surrender cum rehabilitation of militants in the Northeast states, 2018 of the Union Ministry of Home Affairs. Rehabilitation benefits of financial grant, monthly stipends and incentives for surrendered weapons are given to surrenderees. They will stay in a rehabilitation camp for 3 years. Astonishingly, cadres belonging to a surrendered group could still be arrested for indulging in antisocial activities, continuing his demonizing, false and subversive narratives against the Kuki community for the last few years. The prejudicial chief minister is still indulging in displaying his communal mindset in public sphere. Anything that comes against a particular community finds worth mentioning on his social media post. However, he remains deliberately silent on the Meitei's antisocial or anti-national elements since the ethnic cleansing pogrom began in the state. Several arrests have been made of Meitei terrorists who were indulging in anti-national activities. However, none of the arrests has been found on his social media post. But, when it comes to the arrest of CKLA cadres, it was as worth as gold for his social media accounts. For this particular news update on his Facebook page, he even restored the disabled comment section, obviously giving space for Meitei netizens to write negative comments against the Kuki and words of praise for him. Otherwise, his Facebook page was strictly monitored, even to the extent of turning off the comment section since his popularity declined among his own Meitei people. It must be noted that the underlying reason for the present Manipur mayhem is the nexus between the state government, Meitei terrorist outfits based in Myanmar and the radical militia groups. The complicit alliance had been nurtured for a long time, particularly against the Kuki and had been emboldened during the present regime under N. Biren Singh leadership. The constant accusation of Kuki tribals for the violence as transnational conspiracy is nothing but to build an escape route for his state-sponsored ethnic cleansing pogrom in a planned and organized manner. The accusations are also intended to conceal the role of the Meitei terrorist organizations, who are backed by Myanmar junta and other foreign countries' hands, away from the limelight. Having lost all his credibility, and Biren Singh can now be safely tagged as the most incompetent chief minister in the history of Manipur. Most observers usually refrain from taking his statements seriously as any of his remarks in public platforms raise an important question that needs to be followed through to its logical end. Fact check. Claim. On October 24, 2023, Manipur CM N. Biren Singh posted on his X account about the apprehension of 2 cadres of Kuki Liberation Army, CKLA, and he further went on to claim that CKLA is a militant group based in Myanmar. Fact. On April 21, 2023, 36 cadres of the CKLA surrendered to the government of Manipur in a homecoming ceremony attended by CM Biren himself along with several police officers and the army at First Mr. Banquet Hall Impol. In none of CM Biren's nor CMO's post then was it mentioned that these cadres are Myanmar-based. In fact, ABP Live News pointed out that these militants are Manipur-based. People are not surprised at Biren's statement since this is not the first instance that N. Biren Singh lie openly to cover up the misgovernance of BJP in the state under his fractured leadership. There is no denial to the fact that the CKLA cadres were arrested, but the claim that they were based in Myanmar is just to suit the typical Meitei narrative and an attempt to malign the image of the Kukis. Fact check result. False. Biren's lie exposed.